Welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. Hope you're having a good night. Hope um, you had a good day in church. And today I'm kind of doing this thing about these two men. I call them the two because they're probably the two most famous Muslims in the world today. And they're both causing a lot of confusion. They're both causing a lot of confusion. Now, the man on the left, his name, I think you guys all know him. He's famous for being a terrorist who drove his car into the Christmas fair in Germany and killed 5 people, injured around 200, about 41 of them seriously injured, terrorizing all of Germany and Europe. And then the other guy is Jolani. His name is al-Jolani, and Muhammad al-Jolani. And Muhammad al-Jolani, of course, is the leader of the uprising in Syria, who overthrew Bashar al-Assad, the president of Syria, and took over Syria. He's essentially now leading the leader of Syria, the de facto leader of Syria. And what's interesting about these two guys is they both have a connection to terrorism. And they both are now, the one on the left is claiming that he's no longer a Muslim. On the one hand, he claims to be an ex-Muslim, but I'm not sure I believe that. I heard a guy named El-Tusi. I don't know if you've heard El-Tusi. He's a Persian YouTuber. And he said, when you know the target, you know the motive by knowing the target. By knowing the target, you know the motive in what he did. And his target was not a mosque. His target was not, some Buddhist retreat. No, his target was a Christian event, a Christmas market. And I know the Germans, I think because of the Holocaust, the Germans are really gun shy. And I hope if there's some Germans on here, you want to come on and correct me, please feel free to do so. I think that because of the Holocaust, they feel guilty, and they're still very gun shy about being labeled racist or something like that. So they don't want to. They're trying to defend their Muslim, their multiculturalism, whatever it's called. And so it's almost like they're trying to cover for this guy a little bit. And I'm not sure exactly what's going on. It's really freaky. But, the guy on the left, Talib A, and we know his last name too. He's the one who did the attack in Germany, and he claimed that he was an ex-Muslim. He supposedly was involved or in connection with ex-Muslim organizations that he was displeased with, and he supposedly was anti-radical Islam. He was a critic of Islam. But he was also a critic of the German government for what they supposedly he was unhappy with their treatment of him and treatment of Saudi refugees. And so it's kind of hard to know exactly. That's why I'm saying both of these guys are causing tremendous confusion about Islam because they're both Muslims. Now, the guy on the left says he's not a Muslim anymore, but I like what El Tusi said. He says, you know the motive. By knowing the target, you know the motive. And the target, regardless of all his talk, regardless of how the German government is trying to cover for him, regardless of all that, his target was a Christian event. His target was a Christian Christmas market. Now, that should tell you, if his target is a Christian market during Christmas, and you guys, there's a video when they arrested him, you can hear him saying Allahu Akbar. You can hear him saying Allahu Akbar when he was on the ground. Remember when that famous video with him on the ground and the German police arresting him? He says Allahu Akbar. So I'm not sure I'm buying the fact, the claim that he's an ex-Muslim. I think he's a Muslim and a radicalized Muslim. And but I don't know if it's Germany that's doing this, complicating this, or trying to cover for him, or if he was just so, confused and he really did have mental issues. He's a psychiatrist. He lived in an apartment. He had an apartment in a nice house in a really nice area, very quiet. Supposedly he didn't have a car. He didn't have a car. He used to walk to work because he lived real close to his job. So he would walk to work every day. His neighbors knew him, knew that he was, that he wouldn't talk to people very much. He'd smile. Now there's some people who are saying that they felt like he harassed them. Some are saying that he had a criminal record in Saudi Arabia and he didn't want to be extradited to Saudi Arabia for his whatever criminal activity that he had in Saudi Arabia. I'm not sure exactly what to believe about this guy. Just there's so much confusion. But what's interesting is, his activity is what you would expect, from a radicalized Muslim, from ISIS, from Al Qaeda, from a member of the group of the guy on the right. And yet there's so much confusion about it. And I got to be honest, like I said, I was reading the New York Post the other day, the day that this attack happened in Germany. And there was a comment by one person on the New York Post about the attacker, Talib A, on the left there, and the guy who drove the car into the Christmas market. And he said this guy is a Muslim, but he's pretending not to be. He's pretending to be an ex-Muslim so he can infiltrate the ex-Muslim community, find out what's going on. And you know what? I'm kind of leaning towards that. That's just because of what he did. I mean, why did he go after a Christmas market? Why did he go after something that's celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ? It kind of leads me to think that this guy was or is a Muslim, and that he's hello Hansip, hello based Guat, fruit you shall know them. And also you heard the Allahu Akbar. Yeah, when they were arresting him, he said Allahu Akbar, and which leads, Al Tusi, I went and saw Al Tusi. He did a really great program about him, but he played the video and you can very clearly hear him saying Allahu Akbar when the police were jailing him. I don't know. Maybe he wanted to be a hero here. Yes, I feel like he's a Shiite, not an ex-Muslim, and that he's just trying to. Maybe he was spying. Maybe he was a spy, but maybe he was just a megalomaniac. Somebody who wants to be important, who wants to feel like he's doing something, he's changing the world, that he's controversial, and maybe he's just like that, the megalomaniac, like Muhammad was. And so he wanted to do something that was going to give him attention. And I did not hear whether he was married, whether he had kids. I kind of got the impression that he didn't, just from what I've heard, because I haven't heard anything about a family. But apparently this guy was obsessed with the internet. He was always on the internet, always posting stuff in discussion rooms and everything like that. So kind of gives you the impression of somebody who's a little bit maybe psychopath or something like that. I don't know. But the thing that this is doing that I feel is the confusion. The reason this live stream is called The Two is that they're both causing some confusion about about Islam a little bit, like, because they're the media, it fits into the media narrative, the liberal media narrative that he be an Islamophobe, that he's an Islamophobe, he's anti-Islam. Well, then why did he attack a bunch of Christians at a Christian event, at a Christmas market? If he's an Islamophobe, why did he attack Christians? It would seem if he's an Islamophobe, he would have a different target. But his target was Christians at a Christian event. And so it's just like kind of like a smoke screen. Feels like a smoke screen, like the enemy's putting up a smoke screen to confuse people. Let's see. I can't say. I can't sleep. Man so dangerous. They human like sacrifice. Yeah. So, but then we have this other guy. And this is the one that's kind of confusing right now in the world, is the guy on the right, and this is Muhammad al-Julani. He's the leader. He was a leader, founder, Al-Qaeda member, I think maybe Jabhat al-Nusra, leader, which is another terrorist organization. I've heard he's responsible for up to like 2,000 deaths. Very much involved in terrorist activity in Syria and everything. And now he's turned into this Western politician. I mean, he's curried the favor of CNN. They got the Western media singing his praises. And the liberals were just like wanting to make T-shirts with him. And I've seen some girls saying they want to date him, and they're crazy stuff about this guy on the right, who was a wanted terrorist with $10 million price on his head. And I read today the U.S. has removed that $10 million price on his head. I heard today that the United States has lifted that $10 million price on his head. Let's see, I'm not confused. The incident like the Syrian refugee guy, baby screaming. Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. You know, I'm not confused about it either, but I'm thinking that for a lot of people who aren't believers, who don't know the truth, all these things, that they are confused by this because they're looking at this and hello, MMA Paradise. Hello, Michelle. Hello, Abla. Hello, Hansip and Houston. God bless you guys. Thank you for being here. And, let's just look at some of what's interesting is just look at some of the headlines about this guy. About this guy, who is Muhammad al-Jolani, you know, leader of insurgency that toppled Syria's Assad, um, senior al-Qaeda commander whose real name is Ahmed al-Shara, split from the terror group and now depicts himself as a champion of pluralism. U.S. offered $10 million for info enabling his capture. Look at this. And you know what? I have friends who said that even the Christians in Syria are celebrating, that the Christians have been holding church services, that they've been actually free to celebrate Christmas and to do programs and to preach the gospel. I don't know what's going on, you guys. Is this just a game? Is it just something until he gets his hold on power, and then we'll see the real who he is? I don't know. It says Muhammad al-Jolani, the rebel leaders whose stunning insurgency toppled Syria's President Bashar al-Assad, has spent years working to remake his public image, renouncing long ties to al-Qaeda, depicting himself as a champion of pluralism and tolerance. In recent days, the insurgency even dropped his nom de guerre and began referring to him by his real name, Ahmed al-Shara. The extent of the transformation from jihadi extremist to would-be state builder is now put to the test. Insurgents control the capital, Damascus. Assad has fled into hiding, and for the first time after 50 years of his family's iron hand, it is open to question how Syria will be governed. And you guys, I know his name was Muhammad al-Jolani. Apparently was the name of his nom de guerre. Like, it's not his real name, but it's kind of like his warrior name. Like, it's his warrior name. Well, you guys, Jolani means comes from the Golan Heights. You know, the Golan Heights in Arabic is al-Julan. So al-Julani is a reference to the Golan Heights. And that was his previous name, but now he's going back to his original name, Ahmed al-Shara. And Abla says, the Christians in Syria have no option, really. They take what they can. If they have a chance, they'd rather be in a democratic, I'm sure, yes. But I heard that they were having church services and there was no restrictions on them. They were felt completely free to do services. Like Obama said, yes, jihadi can be a leader of Syria. That's yes. Well, Obama was the one who helped establish ISIS, and and then he was airdropping weapons for them too. So, yeah. I think whenever you have a Democratic president who's weak, like Obama, like Clinton, like Biden, that these guys are encouraged. I mean, this is well known in the world, especially I've heard in Africa that the people of Africa are really scared when America gets a weak president because there's so many like terror organizations controlling nations over there that kind of go undercover for a while when there's a strong American president. But then when a Democratic president comes, they come out from hiding. They come out from hiding. I feel it's hard to tell because every time a terrorist leader falls, another terrorist gets the smart idea to be. Yeah, I mean, I can't. Well, there's actually death threats against this guy now. Apparently, there's death threats against him because he's saying enough of the terrorism, enough. We don't want to do terrorism. We don't want to do jihad anymore. It's over. Everybody in Syria is equal. Muslims aren't any more than the Christians, and everybody is together. And there's people calling for his head who want to kill him. And so it's very interesting. It's very interesting to see. Syria is home to multiple ethnic religious communities, often pitted against each other by Assad's state and years of war. Many of them fear the possibility of a Sunni Islamist extremist taking over. The country is also frequented among the disparate armed factions and foreign powers, from Russia to Iran to the United States to Turkey and Israel, all have their hands in the mix. The 42-year-old Julani, labeled a terrorist by the U.S., which offered $10 million for his capture, has not appeared publicly since Damascus fell early Sunday. But he and his insurgent force, Hayat al-Tahrir al-Sham, many of whose fighters are jihadis, stand to be a major player. So very interesting. I guess when he was asked about Israel, he said that he's willing to do a peace agreement with Israel, the way Egypt did, the way Jordan did. Jordan and Syria, Egypt was the first country to do a peace treaty with Israel. Yes, Muhammad said, I've been commanded to fight the people until they all say, accept Islam. In the hadith, that's what Muhammad said. So they'll definitely follow his example. And but it's just interesting to see, these are possibly the two most famous people on earth right now. And they both have a connection to Islam, but it's a very confusing connection. It's a very confusing connection. It's like, it's like this guy is talking about, he's saying we shouldn't call Christians minorities anymore. Just call them Syrians. The Christians are Syrians like everybody else. And so we shouldn't call them minorities anymore because that kind of puts them on a lower level. So it's weird, all the stuff he's saying. And it's just kind of like it's kind of like a wait and see situation right now. And just look at the let me see. Let's see what else says. Okay, this is something that he said. Syria deserves a governing system that is institutional. Not one where a single ruler makes arbitrary decisions, he said. Do not judge by words, but by actions, he said. Well, he's got a lot of actions. He was a Syrian native. He was detained by the U.S. military, but remained in Iraq. During that time, Al-Qaeda usurped like-minded groups and formed the extremist group Islamic State of Iraq, led by Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Okay. And so al-Julani's prominence grew when al-Baghdadi sent him to Syria to establish a branch of Al-Qaeda called the Nusra Front. Okay. The U.S. labeled it as a terrorist organization and offered $10 million to capture him. Okay. Um, he said, you see, I remember hearing this. He said his goal was to see Syria ruled under Islamic law and made clear there was no room for the country's Alawite and Christian minorities. This was in 2014. Okay. In his first interview, 2014, al-Jolani kept his face covered, telling a reporter for Qatari network Al Jazeera that he rejected political talks in Geneva to end the conflict. He said he wanted to see Islamic law and there was no room for Alawite, Shiite, Druze, and Christian minorities. Okay, now that sounds like more like it. In 2016, he revealed his face to the public and announced that the group was forming Jabhat Fatah al-Sham, cutting ties to Al-Qaeda. The new organization had no affiliation to any external entity, he said in the video. Okay. So, and so now, in 2021, in his interview with an American journalist, wearing a blazer with his short hair gelled back and now more soft-spoken, said that his group posed no threat to the West and that sanctions imposed against it were unjust. Yes, we criticize Western policies, but to wage a war against the United States or Europe from Syria, that's not true. We didn't say we wanted to fight. So, yeah, it's interesting. And so these are the two guys, two of the most famous men on the planet right now. They're both Muslims. One of them says he's not. One of them's acting like he's not. And it's very interesting, you know. But Muslims want to be called minority and always use it as, yeah, well, there is no, I know that, you know, yeah, I've been helped by terror in the heart. Yes, Muhammad said while I was asleep, I saw myself being brought the keys of the treasures of the earth, Mishkat and Misbir. Yes, Muhammad very much, he said that the best kind of jihad is, you know, to kill or be killed. And he wished he had 1,000 lives so that he could give them all to be a shaheed over and over and over and over and over again, you know, to be a martyr, you know, over and over and over again. And of course, I think he was afraid or a chicken because he never attained to his goal. And so, yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to do a little thing about these guys just to say that it's an interesting situation in the world because of these two guys right now. And it's like they're not fitting into the stereotypical, I mean, the stereotypical view of what you have of a Muslim, you know. So, but look at all the headlines here. Who is Muhammad al-Jolani? This is the AP, Associated Press, U.S. News and World Report. Statesman or jihadist? What to make of Syria's de facto leader? Okay, New York Sun. Will the real al-Jolani please stand up? Forbes. Who is Muhammad al-Jolani? What to know about the Syrian rebel leader? The Monitor. U.S. scraps. Okay, this is interesting. U.S. scraps $10 million bounty on his head after meeting Jolani in Damascus. Delegation including Assistant Secretary Barbara Leaf and hostage envoy Robert Carstens met with the leader of the powerful group. So he's no longer, there's no $10 million price on his head anymore, you guys. Wow. A delegation of American diplomats arrived in Damascus on Friday to discuss Syria's political transition with its interim leaders. Okay. It says it's important to engage with Syrians and hear from them directly. Okay. The U.S. delegation sat down with Mohammed Jalani in a meeting Leaf described as quite good, very productive, and detailed. She added that while Jalani came off as pragmatic in their discussion, Washington will judge by deeds, not just by words. Last week, Anthony Blinken said the future U.S. recognition of Syrian government would be conditioned on its respect for the rights of women and minorities, ensuring the country isn't used as a base for terrorism. So, wow. You know, you guys, we want peace for the people of Syria, and we want blessings for the Christians there, and for all the people, we want blessings. And so, I don't know. I kind of feel like one of these men, the Antichrist, will rise. We don't know too much about them except that's exactly what I thought, Michelle, too, that, the Antichrist comes in peace, and then one day his true colors come out halfway through the tribulation, and then he begins his murderous reign over the world. And and there's also what the Muslims are waiting for, the Mahdi. I'm surprised no one has come forth and said that this guy's the Mahdi yet, because the Mahdi supposedly is supposed to come from Syria, and so I was expect somebody to say something about that. No, Muhammad didn't want to be Muslim. He hid martyr. He hid behind his troop. He played dead while his companion. Really? Yeah. Well, but he did say that. He said, I wish I could be a martyr. Let me see if I can find that. I can't find it, but yeah. Yeah, but yes, and Muhammad led a kid. That kid was Ali. The kid was Ali, taking in his bed when his enemies came after him. So in case they were able to enter. Yeah, I know. It's exactly. He endangered the kid's life. And, it's, yeah. Oh, me prefer the 12th Imam. On that side, I don't know the origin. I believe the Mahdi, where does the Mahdi come from? Originate from Iran. Okay. Let's see. The Mahdi in Islamic eschatology, believed to appear at the end times to rid the world of evil and injustice, said to be a descendant of Muhammad. He is mentioned several times in canonical hadith. Most revere. Okay. Mahdi, historians believe was used in some instances to describe Muhammad al-Hussein. Okay, there will arise after the death of the caliph a man from the people of Medina go forth fleeing to Mecca. Some will come to Mecca and will revolt. Okay, when people see this, the righteous men of Syria and Iraq will come to him and pledge allegiance to him. Okay, there's Syria and Iraq for you guys. He was in both Syria and Iraq. Okay, an expedition will be sent against him from Syria, but will be swallowed up. Okay, so anyway, that's kind of the Mahdi talk. So there is a little bit of a connection to Syria there. So Sahih al-Bukhari 2797. Okay. 2797. So good to have friends like Truth Defender, who really knows these books and really should be on here. 2797. Let's see what 2797 says. The Prophet said, by him in whose hands my life is, were it not for some men among the believers who dislike to be left behind me, and whom I cannot provide with means of conveyance, I would certainly never remain behind any Saraya army unit setting out in Allah's cause. By him in whose I would love to be martyred in Allah's cause, and then get resurrected, and then get martyred, and then get resurrected, and then get martyred and get resurrected. Thank you. Thank you, Truth Defender. That's the hadith I was talking about. Let me show it to you guys. Okay, here's the hadith, and it's Sahih al-Bukhari, so it's no lightweight hadith there. So he says here, I would love to be martyred in the cause of Allah, get resurrected, and then get martyred, and then get resurrected, and then get martyred, and then get resurrected, and then get martyred. I wonder how it says that in there. Inni aqtul fi sabil Allah thumma ahya thumma aqtalu thumma ahya thumma aqtalu thumma ahya thumma aqtalu. Yeah. Thank you, Truth Defender. So yeah, there you go. But it was all talk, because if he really wanted to, he could have been, but he didn't really want to. He was much more focused on his power of. He had the sexual powers of 40 men. I'm shy, but you're very, very helpful. So Mahdi is more, the Mahdi is more of a Shia thing, but the Sunnis do believe in the Mahdi as well, but it's not quite the same as the Shiites, so. All right, you guys. Well, I just wanted to do a little thing about that, something that I thought about today. These two guys, the two most famous people on planet Earth today, and they're very confusing in regard to Islam. And it could be that they're just playing games and that they really are just plain old radical Muslims, but we don't know. They're looks like Germany's government, at least, which is going to be toppled real soon, which did collapse. I mean, it collapsed before this happened. But in the next elections, they're going to feel the wrath of the people to protect their women and children in war. So, all right, you guys. Well, thank you for coming on and spending a few moments with us. And if you haven't done it, especially if you're a Muslim, like I used to be, I love Muslims. We want you to come to know the Lord Jesus. And so if you haven't done it, please do it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Yesur, sa'idni. Yesur, samahni. Yesur, udkhul albi. We love you, but much more importantly, he loves you. So have a great night, you guys. Thanks.
If you have ever wondered why dull apologists lie so much, it's because on a rare occasion that they tell the truth. this happens.
One of the reasons I accepted Islam was the scientific miracles. I'll be honest with you. And now we know that this whole scientific miracles was absolute nonsense.
You're going to have to repeat that.
That the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say.